From the very beginning, long before the stadium lights, the roaring crowds, or the national recognition, there was something undeniably singular about Myles Garrett. As a young boy in Texas, he walked through the world with a quiet confidence, a curiosity that stretched far beyond his years, and a physical presence that made people take notice even when he wasn't trying to. He wasn't the loudest kid, nor the one constantly seeking attention. Instead, he carried a gentler intensity, an awareness that he was built for something extraordinary, even if he didn't yet know what shape that extraordinary would take. Growing up in a family that valued discipline, intellect, creativity, and authenticity as much as athletic success, Myles had the freedom to explore who he was without being forced into the box that society often builds for young, gifted athletes. His world was filled with books, art, music, and a curiosity about science and nature, creating a foundation that would later define him not just as a football player, but as a remarkably thoughtful individual. Myles' parents understood early that he wasn't like other kids. His mother, Audrey, made sure he never saw his physical gifts as an excuse to neglect the other parts of himself. She raised him with the belief that the mind is just as important as the body, and she encouraged him to read, reflect, and develop a sense of compassion. His siblings, Sean and Brea, both elite athletes in their own right, pushed him to compete at a high level, but they also showed him the importance of humility, discipline, and holding yourself to a standard higher than anyone else could set. That balance between ambition and humility, power and gentleness, became the blueprint of who Myles would become long before the world ever saw him on a football field. As he grew older and entered high school, the athletic side of Myles' identity began to explode into full form. He was taller, stronger, faster, and more naturally explosive than almost every athlete he encountered. Yet, unlike so many young stars who coast on raw ability, Myles immediately showed a dedication to refining the craft of football. He studied leverage, body positioning, hand usage, timing, and footwork. He wasn't satisfied with being bigger or stronger. He wanted to be precise. He wanted to be exceptional. His coaches saw a young man who didn't just dominate games, but dominated practices, someone who pushed himself without being asked, who absorbed coaching instead of resisting it, and who viewed every rep as a chance to grow. Even as a teenager, he displayed the type of mindset that separates the good from the great, an understanding that talent is only the beginning. Those years at Martin High School marked the beginning of a football journey that felt increasingly inevitable. College recruiters began circling, aware that they were witnessing a once-in-a-generation defensive talent. But the decision for Myles was never about prestige or external validation. He chose Texas A&M not for attention, but because it felt like the place where he could grow as a player, as a student, and as a person. The environment, the culture, the challenge, it all aligned with who he was becoming. And the moment he stepped on campus, Texas A&M immediately knew it had something special. What followed was one of the most dominant collegiate careers the SEC had ever seen. From the very first snap, Myles announced himself as a threat that offenses had no answer for. His combination of speed, power, agility, explosiveness, and technique made him almost impossible to neutralize. But what made him especially frightening was his ability to adjust in real time. He learned from every matchup. He studied offensive tendencies. He recognized blocking schemes before the ball was snapped. He blended instinct with preparation in a way that allowed him to consistently disrupt plays that most defenders could only hope to influence. By the end of his freshman season, he had already shattered the SEC freshman sack record, a feat that spoke not only to his physical dominance, but also to his relentless desire to improve. Even with all of the noise surrounding him, media attention, draft projections, national accolades, Myles remained grounded. He still wrote poetry. He still explored art, literature, music, paleontology, and the broader world outside of football. He wasn't ashamed of being intellectual. He wasn't afraid to show vulnerability. He was a reminder that athletes can be multi-layered, complex, thoughtful human beings. That authenticity made him impossible to overlook, not just as a player, but as a person. And when the 2017 NFL Draft arrived, there was little debate about who should be the number 1 overall pick. The Cleveland Browns saw in Myles a franchise cornerstone, someone whose combination of talent, character, and work ethic could reshape the future of an entire organization. And they were right. The transition to the NFL is a brutal test, even for the most gifted prospects. But Myles adapted with a seamlessness that felt almost unfair. He didn't just fit into the league, he elevated it. His rookie year flashed signs of the monster he would become. The quickness off the snap, the ability to bend the edge, the power in his hands, the intelligence in diagnosing plays. Every year that followed brought another level of refinement. His speed-to-power conversion became unmatched. His hand counters became textbook examples for young pass rushers. His pursuit angles, discipline against the run, and leadership in the locker room grew sharper with every season. Quarterbacks began to approach Cleveland games with palpable unease, knowing they were facing a defender capable of changing a game with one explosive movement. But Myles' journey wasn't without turbulence. The 2019 incident that temporarily overshadowed his career challenged him in ways far deeper than the game itself. It became a moment that required reflection, accountability, personal growth, and emotional resilience. And Myles met that moment with maturity far beyond his years. He didn't run from responsibility. He didn't hide behind excuses. He rebuilt his reputation not through words, but through action, through community work, improved leadership, consistent professionalism, and a renewed commitment to the sport he loved. That season became a turning point, not a defining failure, but a defining transformation. And from that point forward, Myles Garrett didn't just return to form. He ascended to another level entirely. He became the anchor of the Browns' defense, the emotional pulse of a franchise long searching for identity, and one of the most feared athletes in the NFL. His sack totals climbed into elite territory. His pressuring ability reached historic levels. His leadership evolved into something steady, quiet, and powerful. He became not just a star, but a standard, someone teammates looked to for guidance, inspiration, and accountability. And as his career unfolded, it became clear that he was building more than a resume. He was building a legacy. Still, what makes Myles Garrett truly special isn't just the sacks, the accolades, the Pro Bowls, or the Defensive Player of the Year considerations. It's the depth of who he is beyond the game. He is an athlete who embraces intellectual curiosity, someone who writes poetry and reflects deeply on the world. He is a passionate advocate for his community. He is a man who speaks with conviction about social justice, who donates to youth programs, and who constantly works to uplift the people around him. He carries himself with a calmness and composure that speaks to his upbringing. And he never loses sight of the family that formed the foundation of everything he is. Their influence is present in every thoughtful answer he gives during interviews, every act of kindness toward fans, and every moment where he pauses to appreciate the opportunities he has earned. As Myles continues to build one of the most dominant defensive careers the league has seen, the world is lucky enough to watch greatness unfold in real time. He is in his prime, rewriting what is possible for a defensive end, combining technique, intelligence, power, and athleticism in a way few have ever done. His presence alone changes the geometry of a field. His impact radiates through every level of the defense. And his legacy, still being shaped, already belongs among the greats. Myles Garrett is a reminder of what happens when talent meets discipline, when strength meets purpose, and when a person refuses to be defined by anything less than everything they are capable of becoming. Thank you for spending time with this tribute and deep celebration of Myles Garrett, his journey, his character, his impact, and the greatness he continues to build. If you enjoyed this long-form reflection, make sure to stay connected, share your support, and check back for more extended tributes to the athletes who move the game, the culture, and the hearts of fans everywhere. Your presence truly means the world.